All right, no matter what I say, it's going to piss some of you guys off, and maybe some of you need to fucking hear it, but let's go over another use of force video. Again, when I present these are just the exact same way I see them as you see them, right? They come along from YouTube, I pull them up, and I'm going to take this in with the exact same, scrutiny that the public would wind up giving. And, I'm going to preface this by a second. I've been saying this for years. I'm going to give you the 2016 updated version because I'm really not going to research since then, but you guys can do it on your own. I've been talking about PERF, Police Executive Research Forum. And I talked about this all the way back in 2014. I'm going to show you what do you call it? An excerpt, if you will, from their own guidelines. Here, this is from the Critical Issues in Policing series, Use of Force, Taking Policing to a Higher Standards from January 29th of 2016, right? And they moved it from number 4's tenet to number 3. And I'll enlarge this for your viewing pleasure, if I can. There we go. Just so you could see this. Now, remember, normal use of force for police is objectively reasonable. Right? It's would the use of force that a police officer used on a subject be viewed as objectively reasonable in the eyes of other police officers? That's the standard. Well, since some of you cops just don't fucking want to get it through your head, it's 2022, and some of the shit you're still doing on scenes is proof your fucking ego's getting in the way. And everything I'm saying, I hope your blood is boiling. I hope you're like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm glad he's not a cop anymore. Because you know what? In public, don't think I'm taking your side on this shit. I'm really not. It's for the police to do fucking better. And it's definitely for command staff to start getting their heads out of their asses, realize that they are the root of the problem, to get a better quality of hire out there, and to have men and women who are on the streets taken care of, but to remember that the standard starts with them. They're always going to be the common denominator on every fucking call out there. So they have to hold themselves to a higher standard. But here you go. Here it is. Number 3 in the policy is police use of force must meet the test of proportionality. Doesn't say objectively reasonable, does it? It says proportionality. In assessing whether a response is proportional, officers must ask themselves, how would the general public view the action we took? Would they think it was appropriate to the entire situation and to the severity of the threat posed to me or the public? Hang on a second. We need to clear the pipes there for that one. Do you guys not realize that it's game over if you let John Q. uneducated fuck public take a look at what you're doing? The same people who, I got pulled over for no reason. Yeah, you're driving all over the road. You're drunk, hitting cars and people and running into shit, but you got pulled over for no reason. Do you realize that the public just does not like to get in trouble? And then it doesn't help that you got bootlickers supporting you left and right, saying, don't resist the police. You shouldn't resist. No, you really shouldn't. But police shouldn't give you a reason to resist them either. There are a lot of officer-induced circumstances that shouldn't be. Talked about that in the last video. But let's move on here. I want to talk about this really quick. And I want you to keep that in mind. That's from PERF, Police Executive Research Forum. Go take a look at it. Guys, it's right there. For the love of God, I mean, you're going to wind up doing your job, and the public's, they don't know why you implement use of force. They don't know what the continuum is. They don't know 90% of the laws that are out there in the street, and you think that they're going to wind up taking a look at what your job is and do that shit, right? That's just screwy. This is Austin man files a police brutality lawsuit against 3 APD Austin peace officers, Fox 7 Austin. This is from Fox 7 Austin. It's from 11 days ago. All right, let's just take a look at this together and see what happens. I'm going to check it out.
I just want to talk to you, James.
For about 45 seconds.
Come towards me.
No, I'm saying it's
James. No.
Body camera footage shows officers trying to convince James Edward Johnson to step into the hall. Known for having a chronic mental illness, his mother had made a call to 911 that night, afraid he might hurt himself.
Rather than de-escalate the situation and kind of calmly talk with him and just encourage.
Talk about that for a second. This de-escalation stuff, I'm not going to lie, the de-escalation is the root of a lot of use of force problems. because number one, cops can't talk to people. You're asking people to bring a sales skill into law enforcement. I'm going to tell you, if you're good at being a cop, you leave the job, go become a salesperson. You're going to be the number one salesperson anywhere you go, because your job is to influence people into getting into handcuffs without resisting arrest and making them think it's a great idea. You will make millions of dollars in sales if you go anywhere else doing that, right? The problem is a lot of you guys see most of the people who are on the street, cops, they can't talk. A lot of it is ego that gets in the way. And remember, whenever I say this shit, you guys have to remember, I lived it. So I did have a lot of pride, arrogance, ego, and all the I will never talk about. The only thing I never did was violate anybody's amendments, rights. Never violate anybody's constitutional rights, right? That being said, it's like I did this shit. I let my ego get in the way. I let my fucking attitude get in the way. I know this is right, but you're asking people, mostly who are 21, 2, 3, 4, right? Because we take a lot of young people as cops, to learn how to talk to people, to de-escalate. And I'm going to tell you this too. And the whole problem is what's the circumstance? Because now you're asking for, no, I've been training martial arts my whole life. And a lot of what we do is the whole Zen mentality of being calm and being relaxed in a fight. It doesn't happen that way. No matter how much you train, you still get an adrenaline dump. Your body goes into fight or flight. You could say relax all you want, but you're going to tense up. And now you're going to ask a cop who is probably severely untrained to be in a circumstance to where they have to wind up calming somebody down. Well, we do know that frequencies and delivery of your voice is something. So if you're going to be all amped up, that subject's going to pick up on that shit. So the whole de-escalation garbage, I've never been a fan of, because you hire shitty people in the first place, and then you try to give them people skills. So I keep saying, you want better quality cops? Make it an incentive for bartenders, car sales, realtors, friggin', I don't know, it's kind of really weird, kindergarten teachers, right? Because they have to wind up really influencing these toddlers, which is a lot of what you're going to be dealing on the street. To get your people who can actually talk to people for a living is what you want. So I can't stand the de-escalation garbage. They should have de-escalated it. Really? 99% of you people can't do it out there. And de-escalation doesn't live in a world where people, they can't hear what you're saying. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm going to let you read this at your will, because, yeah, I mean, it's, well, Izzo, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, pause this and read it at your will, because I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, because I've lived it and done it, and that was back in 2014. So I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, let's continue with this.
Encourage him to respond to them. They rushed him and, used a taser in what I would describe as a brutal fashion.
Things escalate as Johnson.
This goes back to the proportionality. Here you have a lawyer. Yeah, he may know the law, but dear God, define a brutal fashion. What is a brutal fashion? And we all know how everything can be manipulated, right? Everything can be manipulated. Problem is lawyers are politicians. Lawyers have to stir that emotional response to sit there and win their case, to get the jury or a judge to wind up going, yeah, I agree with that. You're compelling your argument, which lawyers, if you want de-escalation, you guys should be teaching the fucking classes. You guys are the master manipulators. So, maybe some of you need to shut the fuck up and start teaching classes. Because so far, I don't see too many of you jumping in to wind up helping the police, right? If you're really a good lawyer, a defense attorney, and you want to see the injustices go down, maybe it's time that you wind up saying, you know what, I'm a great defense attorney. I need to start teaching law enforcement how to de-escalate. So I don't get, no, it's more important that police brutality go down, that I bolster my client base. Show us where your fucking true alliance lies.
Johnson steps back into his room.
Anytime force is used, it never looks good. But all
right, let's break this down for a second with no audio. All right, so he's in the hallway. Let's look at this. in the hallway. Yeah, they rushed him. You're going to want to rush him. Now, just tactically speaking, for those of you who are the public, all right, we don't know what's inside of the apartment. You remember, God, do cops want to be there? Yes. It's late. It's boring. Most cops have that personality, because remember, that was me too. We're chomping at the bit for some action. So can we just get that out of the way? If you don't have men and women who have that mentality, you'll never have law and order and peace on the street. I'm sorry. I want men and women out there who are fucking waiting for a fight. They just need to learn how to control it better. They need to, what is that saying? I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. These warriors just need to learn how to control it. That's it. So for those of you who are like, well, cops are looking for a problem. Yeah, they are, 100%. But you know what? It's time for us to acknowledge that and see that we need these savage warriors, but to wind up controlling themselves better. He's in the hallway. Mom called. His son's going to hurt himself. Great. All right, what do we got going on? Get him. They want to get him in the hallway because you don't know what he has in the house. And you don't know what baseball bats, samurai swords, knives, guns, whatever. It's just a safer tactic, right? Clearly, he doesn't want to listen. Deploying the taser at this point, that may fall within the department policy. Now, understand, I hate the taser. I've used the taser 5 times, and half the time it really didn't work. Especially the area I'm in, Chicago area, you got a bunch of clothes on. We're all fat up here, so the taser works less the more body fat you have on yourself, because it actually works better with a leaner muscle. And taser also taught cops to wind up being more dependent on a tool than their mouth and their hands, right? And yeah, I'm not going to lie, dude. When we got the tasers the first, I think it was maybe 2003, dude, we were like, yeah, let's make them ride the lightning. It was a toy. We did treat it like a fucking toy. And these are things that we have to start acknowledging, right? If we're going to acknowledge that there's certain problems in the culture that we need to serve the citizens, we need to acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of problems in law enforcement with the culture. And behind the scenes, you know damn well, at roll call, these guys were talking about, yeah, I lit his ass up. You know this is going on. It's normal. It is how adrenaline winds up coming down, and you leave it as get it out of your system. Taser's in, okay. So clearly, if he shot the taser, it's not working because he's still standing. All right. Yeah, taser again, it's not a foolproof tool. This guy should have stiffened up like a board because you have the involuntary muscle control spasms. It's like 18 pulses per second out of the taser. All right. He's on the ground. All right, so again, this is his house, right? I'm only seeing what one body camera viewpoint looked at. I mean, yeah, if he's going to push him, here's where you're going to get a lawyer too. You know, here's the terminology is different. All right. Did the cop kick him or did he push him with his foot? You know, if they're telling him to get down, he pushed him with his foot. Can I go either way on that one? Sure. I mean, it just is what it is. You don't know if behind that wall he's got something. You don't know if there's another person in this apartment. So I know a lot of you public really are like, fuck the police. Guys, the job is, yes, a lot of cops, myself included at one point, we hyped up the circumstance because we have that tunnel vision to get the bad guy when all this guy was called on for mental health, right? So, you know, we should be treating him very, very kindly. It's just, it doesn't work that way. All right. So we got it. All right. All right. I don't mind that either. He got, he's stepping on him. Yeah, he's stepping on his lower back because that's going to be where the center of gravity is to prevent him from moving. Okay, I'm fine with that. All right, let's. So far, whatever. I don't see any brutality just yet so far. But let's keep going. Let's see what we got.
Get back into the apartment, lock the door. Now you've got a barricaded suicidal subject.
I agree, and then that's where force is going to escalate even more.
So
that's retired Austin police officer Wayne Vincent.
Not knowing all the facts, it looks like the officers decided that they had to take him into custody. And when they're non-compliant like that, you've got to get them into custody as quickly as possible.
100%. One of the there's a excited delirium was a real big term back later on in my career, and we had a use of force expert a psychologist, doctor, very, very skilled martial artist. So he taught law enforcement. He was not a cop, very, very well versed in law. And his excited delirium was this giant thing that was like you could instantly die from the state of your being. And so you have to, it was so overused. I don't even know if they still talk about it. But the tactic that we were taught was 4-on-1. 4-on-1. As quickly and fast as possible. 4 cops rush, 1 cop on a limb, grab him, stretch him out, get him on his back, handcuffs, end of story. So that was the tactic for excited delirium. So, and that was supposed to be back then the worst of the worst situations possible for a cop to be in with a subject, because you were dealing with like an ultra madman. Continuing on with this.
Before it escalates.
But Johnson's lawyer says otherwise.
And it is the equivalent of treating anyone who's entering a mental health crisis as some sort of violent criminal.
Okay, I'll tell you, sir, a lot of them, most of them that I've ever been involved with they're erratic. That's that furtive movement. You don't know what they're doing. They're not in their right minds. And then you're escalating the situation by calling us to be there. They see the men in just dark blue and black, and a lot of times in the middle of the night. So their minds are not there. They're under the influence of whatever doctor prescribed medication. Some abuse other substances with it. 100% these people are extremely violent. So don't downplay the situation. These are these stupid lawyers. They're going to manipulate the public into vilifying cops. And all this does, let me tell you something. All this does is create new policy for more cops to have their job fucked up to where they can't serve the public the right way. Because you got John CQ, shitbag lawyer here saying, oh, well, all you got to do is, de-escalate the circumstance. Are you kidding me? It's like talking to a drunk fucking toddler who's stronger because he's feeling no pain because he's on whatever medication the doctor prescribed and he's manic. You do it first there, Captain Kangaroo. Go ahead with your little fucking, your Santa Claus beard. I'm sorry, dude. You are wrong on this one. And the problem is if it wasn't for things, sadly, I'm 100% pro body camera, but if it wasn't for the way that the people manipulated body camera footage, and if it wasn't for department policy, those cops would have bum rushed that guy, jumped on him, put him in handcuffs without any of this shit happening. Instead, we need the taser. What does the taser do? Taser creates a problem where all of a sudden cops are like, oh, yeah, great. The taser's going to solve all my problems. So then when you have a taser, now all of a sudden you got a bunch of men and women who don't know how to fight in the first fucking place. And so when their taser doesn't work, they don't know what to do. So what do? They escalate the force, right? Now all of a sudden you got a pig pile. And then you got a battered up client who's saying, I got abused. And then you get more policy. Well, get there. Department policy says they have to talk on scene first. And then you got cops going, shit, what do I do first? Do I talk first? Do I not talk? Well, sir, put your hands behind your back. Change it. Cops don't know what to fucking do because you've got this chain of events thing that they must do that try to fit within a use of force, which you're trying to redefine. And they don't know what the fuck to do because they know that if they do this the wrong way, they're going to end up on the news vilified by everybody for just doing their job. So what does that put? That puts them in a state of mental stress to where when it does come time for those cops to have to act, they're going to act with a fucking hairpin. Just a hair trigger right there. Boom. They're going to be like, holy shit, and they're going to go nuts because it's just, I don't know what to do, but they still want to do it because they got that fight in them. You lawyers and you police command, you guys are the fucking pure evil of law enforcement. And you dumb cops out there are falling into this trap that they're setting for you every fucking day of the week. Let's continue.
I told you I'm not a threat.
At one point, the video shows Johnson moving his arm as officers are trying to handcuff him. That's when he's punched multiple times and tased again.
I'm gonna tase him. Back.
That's where you guys are going to lose me. Couple different things. It says at one point, right? She says that. We don't know where the video was prior to this. You have to remember use of force is limited to the moment it's used. So let's just say this, right? Let's say he's in this position And prior to this, they've been trying to handcuff him for the last 5 minutes, and he grabbed a knife and he grabbed the flamethrower and this and that. And that was 5 minutes ago. Well, if 5 minutes ago he tried to stab a cop, 5 minutes ago he tried to use a flamethrower on the entire apartment building, but that's gone off to the side. You can't use of force that is likely to cause great bodily harm or death right now. Does that make sense? So if he resisted trying to stab you 10 minutes ago, and all of a sudden he pulls his arm away, but there's no weapon in sight, you've searched him, nothing on him, nothing in front of him, nothing within his reach whatsoever, you're on his head, you're on his back, and he does that, and then you start punching him in the head, or you pull out your gun and shoot him, you can't say, well, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, he tried to stab me. Doesn't work that way. The other problem is, yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm extremely well trained. You guys fucking suck. If you have two, and I'm going to tell you, I try to handcuff a 10-year-old by myself. Sucks. There are times when you try to handcuff weaker women. You need 2 or 3 people. That's only because we're dumbing down our force that we're using to put these people in cuffs. You're going to see, you get somebody like this, you have every right. If he's resisting, you pull his arm out of his socket to put in the cuffs, right? The arm, right? And that, well, you just said before, great bodily harm, you can't use that. Point being is you need to go from 0 to red till the threat's eliminated. When cops go less than, which, yeah, there's a lot of technicalities here. Yeah, if he's in this position and you're pushing on his head, his body's still going to come up. He still has control of his hips. The cop back here handcuffing, he doesn't have any control over his hips. I would like to see a knee right on the small of his back, digging into that spine, forcing him down, and another hand going right into the small of the back where he's got that cuffs, right? So when he pulls out, you're cranking it. You've got a pinned down circumstance. And at least get one more in there. Maybe take 2 cops on the shoulder, because there's 3-4 cops in the scene. Again, armchair quarterbacking. Problem is you could tell, and I'm going to tell you, when this starts to happen, and all of a sudden you get a cop wailing punches, and punches to the head don't do shit, you're pissed. You let this get the fucking best of you. That's what this is. And I understand, because I've let the shit get the fucking best of me before too. And now you're on the news. That's the problem. See, you got called there in the first place. You're looking for something to do on a whatever night of the week it was. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, according to body camera footage. So you guys are on midnight looking for something to do. Guys, I get the whole totality of the circumstances. And you probably had several run-ins with this guy, and you were tired of him. And this guy fucking got you. I don't agree with the punching to the head. I just don't. It doesn't do anything. And its force, depending upon his position, if he's on the ground and you've got to wait, you're driving those punches into him from a position where your body weight's going, yeah, you can cause death or great bodily harm. And that's not a deadly force situation. But let's keep playing this. Let's see where this is.
I'm going to tase him. Get back.
What are you going to tase him for? If it didn't work the first few times, what the fuck are you going to tase him for again? This is now punishment. It's not your job to punish. It's the court's job to punish. This is where it gets punitive. And for all you people in the comment section, you can be like, well, he shouldn't have resisted in the first place. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. This is somebody who's not in his right mind. If he wasn't going to resist, his mother wouldn't have called on him in the first place. He's not in his right mind.
Put your hands on the small of your back now!
His lawyer shared these photos of what ended up resulting in a broken jaw.
You actually demean the many good officers and believe.
Yeah, that's where it gets bad. Because you're there to help, right? And again, this is why I don't agree with sending the social workers and the therapists to calls and whatnot, because they don't understand how fast it could change. And at the same point in time too, I'm tired of labeling police officers, trying to teach them de-escalation when you hired fucking people to wind up being that hammer in the first place. And the problem is the problem why this will never go away, I'll tell you right now, is departments want Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They want good boys. They want men and women who will follow orders. Those men and women typically don't think on their own enough to be fluid in a circumstance like this. The ones who could think on their own, the ones who could adapt to situations better, have the biggest targets on their back by the command staff, because the command staff gets fucking jealous and they don't have control over those people. And those are exactly the type of people you need to think out of the side of the box to avoid shit like this. So, I mean, if we back it up, and I'm going to look at it again.
You've got to get him.
Says other
Treating mental health sort of violence.
I told you I'm not a threat.
At one point, the video shows Johnson moving his arm as officers are trying to handcuff him. That's when he's punched multiple times and tased again.
Back. I'm gonna tase him. Back. Put your hands on the small of your back now.
His lawyer shared these photos of what ended up resulting in a broken jaw.
Is there more? Yeah, let's look at this a little bit more.
Brutal, excessive force.
Oy.
He's asking for immediate damages, but also long-term change when it comes to training and how these kinds of situations are later addressed.
This is a case, I believe, where
Yeah, this, and when you have something like this, just to let you know, that looks like a taser, and it looks like it's got the if it's going to be held that close to the body, it's going to be going for the drive stun, right? And what that means that they've got the cartridge off, and it no longer is for involuntary muscle control. It's for pain compliance. And here again, guys, I know how you can manipulate every wording that you have. He's in cuffs.
Excessive force.
He's in cuffs. He's down. He's secure. Let's see. Is he in cuffs? Yeah. If they're going to approach him like that, he's in cuffs in that position, that softly, if you will. Or maybe he's not. I don't know. I don't know what section. Oh no, this is 104 in the. So he's not in handcuffs yet because it was 105 where he was. 105.09. He's still not in cuffs. So if we go to here. Yeah, 104. Dude, that's a pistol. All right. Okay. All right, I wasn't there. That's a pistol out. All right, we're just going to, okay. Yeah, what I was talking about here with the pain. See, if that looks like a female cop. If she's going to get on him, he's not that big of a threat. If she's moving with that little sense of urgency, Again, remember, I'm viewing this after the fact in the safety of my home office while this is done, this is done a month ago. No, it's a couple days ago. Yeah, a year ago. Yeah, that's a drive stun. So that's going to be pain compliance, which means that there's no involuntary muscle control that's going to be done by the taser. It's all pure pain. A lot of times, that's punitive. A lot of times, that's cops being punitive. They're pissed off and they want to cause this guy pain.
Later addressed.
This is a case, I believe, where the taser was used appropriately.
But Vincent's perspective, after decades in law enforcement, you can't take chances as an officer if someone's not complying.
You don't know the capability of an individual you're about to use force on. That taser probably avoided even more serious injuries because the other options are nightsticks and more intrusive ways.
If we're gonna go down this to being the taser, I don't have any problem with their use of taser. I have a problem with the use of the punches, the strikes. That's what I have a problem with. Taser? No, the taser was used fine in that one. If the cops are going in this where mom is talking about he's at whatever, we don't know what the call was, right? We didn't hear what mom had said on the phone. My son is this, blah blah blah. What if she had said he's in the house running around with a knife and they deployed taser? They're actually going less force than they should have. That should have been, at least if you're going to keep it less lethal, get the beanbag shotgun rounds, right? So the taser I don't have a problem with. I have a problem with the punches on the head. That's what I do. And that to me is pure, dude, you let your fucking ego get away from it. You were pissed off at somebody who is in a weaker position than you. And I'm going to tell you too, guys, man, you're going to see a lot of cops get real fucking tough when there's 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 of them on a scene. And it's a younger, weaker, or older age, has nothing to do with it, a person who they're taking into custody that they're tired of dealing with and showing off. Yeah, cops get real fucking tough when there's multiple of them on scene. Why do I say this? Because I've seen it firsthand. And that is what it is. All right, that's another review. That's Austin man files police brutality lawsuit from a couple days ago. Guys, you really got to start looking at shit to where I know how tough the job is, and I know how tough command staff is making it for you. I know how shitty these lawyers are. I know how shitty the public is. And the public, man, you guys got to stop this crap too, because you go in the comment section of any police forum and you see, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, or just stop resisting. You guys are fucktards on this. You have no idea what you're doing to hurt law enforcement in this process. So, I don't know what I would I have done in that circumstance. Go back and read the award I got because I was in this circumstance. It is you do one of two things. If you're going to talk, you need to talk. If you're going to act, you need to act incredibly swift, very decisively. Get the job done. Put them in handcuffs. End of story. I hope that makes sense. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Be safe out there.